Iris Quinn had scrubbed the terrazzo floors of Snapdragon Science Museum since the place still smelled of wet plaster and reckless optimism. In the 10 months the building spent sheathed in scaffolding for its multi-million-dollar renovation, she remained on payroll as night custodial staff, temporary, though nobody bothered to tell her temporary could last forever. What kept her was the planetarium. When the crews powered down for the night, Iris would drift to the domed chamber and lie on the unfinished concrete, imagining constellations in the blank, horizonless ceiling. She knew all the myths and most of the messier numbers. During breaks, she jotted coordinates on her supply cart and practiced unspooling the sky in her head the way the Zeiss Mark 7 projector would do it in light. Now, on the morning of the grand reopening, the air tasted of lemon polish and helium ribbon. Snapdragon's publicist had declared the gala a resurrection for community wonder. Outside, a line of local officials, donors, and bloggers curled around the geodesic entrance, waiting for 10 o'clock. Iris, wearing her navy coveralls and pushing a cart packed with microfiber cloths, felt as if she'd slipped behind enemy lines at a New Year's party. Dr. Bastian Zielinski, the venerable planetarium director, stood beneath a banner that read, "A Universe Rediscovered." His white beard forked like a comet tail, and he alternated between greeting trustees and barking at technicians. "Gentle, please. The projector's lenses cost more than my doctorate," he scolded 2 roadies, guiding the Mark 7 into final position below the dome. Iris hovered near the doorway, unwilling to leave until she saw the machine safe. She loved that projector. It resembled a steel insect with globular eyes, each capable of hurling nebulae onto a 50-foot vault. During renovation, the Mark 7 had been disassembled in crates. For Iris, those crates had been Pandora's boxes of possibility. "Quinn," called Miss Dahlia Chow, the operations manager, heels clicking like threats. "Why are you on exhibit floor during VIP access?" "I'm checking for spills," Iris answered, raising her spray bottle as proof. "Front lobby's your zone." Chow sniffed. "We can't have staff cluttering press photos." Iris retreated. On the way, she passed a school group corralled by their teachers for the first show scheduled at 11:30. A girl of about 9 craned upward and asked her friend, "Do the stars move or do we move?" Iris almost stopped to answer, but held back. Maybe Dr. Zielinski would inspire her soon if the Mark 7 survived setup. At 9:47, Iris knelt in the lobby, polishing the bronze armillary sphere, when a rumble rolled through the building. The floor trembled. Screams ricocheted from the planetarium hall. Iris dropped her rag and ran. Inside, the scene looked like a photograph of aftershock. The Mark 7 lay on its side, one of its twin star globes crushed, fiber-optic guts strewn like wounded circuitry. Beneath its central chassis protruded a pair of khaki-clad legs, Dr. Zielinski's. Staff clustered, but dared not move the ton-and-a-half contraption. "Get a jack!" someone shouted. Another voice said, "Call EMS!" Iris pushed through. Her mind noted the snapped hoist cable dangling from the rigging gantry 30 feet above. It had not frayed. It had been sliced, the braided steel ending in a clean diagonal shimmer. Dr. Zielinski groaned. Iris flattened herself beside him, reaching for his wrist as first aid training resurfaced. Pulse rapid, skin pale. "Hang on, doctor. Ambulance is coming." His eyes fluttered open, fogged with pain, yet still astronomer bright. "The children," he coughed. "They must see the sky." "You worry about breathing," Iris said, squeezing his hand. "I'll worry about everything else." Paramedics arrived within minutes, but the gala schedule shattered like a dropped lens. With the planetarium wrecked and its director carted to County General, Snapdragon's resurrection shriveled into a public relations nightmare. Miss Chow paced the lobby, cell phone glued to ear, promising refunds and future dates. The board chair ordered an immediate evacuation until structural integrity of equipment can be verified. Journalists licked their pens. Somewhere in that swirl, Iris stood invisible, yet the sliced cable glinted in her imagination like a blade. Accidents bored through strands, saboteurs cut clean. By noon, uniformed engineers had locked the planetarium, and police tape cinched the threshold. Staff clustered behind barricades as detectives took statements. Iris waited, but no one questioned custodial personnel. She wanted to tug a sleeve and say, it wasn't rust, but her certainty lacked evidence. She clocked out at 3, though technically she hadn't clocked in at all. The gala abrogated regular shifts. Still wearing her coveralls, she slipped past security heading home, then detoured into the service elevator and rode to the domed rooftop garden closed since renovation. It offered a view over the river and a patch of quiet where Iris often ate supper. Now she simply needed altitude to think. Below, visitors spilled onto sidewalks, cameras pointed at ambulances instead of exhibits. Iris leaned against the parapet. Whose interest would be served by crippling the planetarium? The Mark 7, though vintage, remained irreplaceable. Insurance couldn't conjure another from catalogues. Zelinsky's research grants? Jealous competitor? Or internal politics? She remembered Ms. Chow's scowl, staff cluttering press photos. Chow had lobbied the board for a digital full-dome system, insisting analog projectors were relics. Funds, however, ran dry before her vision. If the Mark 7 were declared unsafe, Chow might get her upgrade, perhaps from the same insurers who'd footed renovation. Nightwind plucked Iris's sleeves. Conjecture, she scolded herself. Yet she resolved to help detectives, and Dr. Zelinsky's murmur haunted her. The children must see the sky. The museum stayed closed for technical assessment the next 2 days. Though her supervisor told custodial staff to remain on call, Iris arrived each afternoon to tidy offices. Trash, after all, still accumulated. Security guard Mateo Alvarez, sympathetic to anyone who fed the lobby's stray cat, waved her in and lent her his keycard. On Wednesday evening, Iris pushed her cart toward the maintenance corridor abutting the planetarium. Police seal covered the main entrance, but she had no intention of crossing it. Instead, she followed ductwork diagrams she'd seen posted in janitorial break room. An access hatch behind the mechanical room opened into the underside of the planetarium's seating bowl, a crawl space where electricians pulled cables during renovation. She shimmied through. Above her belly, plywood joists supported rows of plush new seats. Below, concrete foundation. She clicked on her headlamp. Rat droppings and lost screws sparkled. Directly beneath the projector's footing, she found the hoist mechanism, an I-beam, pulley assembly, and backup safety latch. The severed main cable remained looped around the drum. Iris photographed the tidy, knife-like edge with her phone. As she studied, a faint oil smell nudged memory. Graphite grease imported for the Mark 7's gears, something Zelinsky had fussed over the day before the reopening. The same grease spotted the severed strands, as though a contaminated gloved hand had steadied them while cutting. Iris slid backward, heart thudding. Whoever sliced the cable had handled the projector beforehand. She crawled farther until a beam of light slashed the darkness from a gap ahead. Voices filtered down. "None of your concern," said Ms. Chow. A male voice replied, detectives will want documentation. If we delete files now, then we safeguard the museum from bad optics, Chow interrupted. Bastion lying under antiquated scrap metal is already a PR crater. The sooner we pivot to a state-of-the-art full-dome system, the sooner donors forget. Iris crept to the gap, recognizing Chow and Devon Cruz, the AV technician tasked with synchronizing soundtracks. Beyond them, rolling racks of servers blinked. Cruz exhaled. I didn't sign up to break spines, Dahlia. Collateral, Chow said, impatient as a metronome. He's alive, and you signed up for progress. Iris's stomach iced. She pocketed her phone and inched backward. A stray screw rolled, pinging metal. Conversation above ceased. Footsteps approached. Iris scrambled, nearly tangling in her coveralls, and reached the access hatch. She pushed through into the mechanical room, replaced the panel, and lunged behind a boiler as the door opened. Cruz peeked inside, flashlight sweeping. Iris held her breath until it clicked shut. When silence settled, she fled. Outside the museum, dusk bruised the sky, and streetlights blinked awake. Iris caught the crosstown bus, mind racing. She had overheard conspiracy, but lacked proof admissible to police. The audio hadn't recorded. Her photos of the cable helped, but motive attached only circumstantially to Chow. She needed something undeniable, and quickly. Chow planned to pivot. A board meeting could be happening tomorrow. That night, Iris spread manuals and star charts across her kitchen table. If Snapdragon couldn't see Zeta Ori from its seats, maybe it could see sabotage from its foyer. She sketched a plan bold enough to give detectives time and children wonder. First, they still had the dome. Second, they still had Cruz's server racks scheduled to drive the lobby's interactive wall. If she could hijack those, she could project digital constellations for the scheduled school groups returning Friday, Chow's provisional, soft reopening pending safety reviews. She would give the museum a star show without Chow's blessing, while also broadcasting evidence to every eye present. She texted Mateo Alvarez. Need after-hours access to AV booth tonight. Emergency custodial maintenance. He replied with a thumbs-up emoji and said he'd leave his card at security desk. At 11 p.m., Iris entered Snapdragon armed with a borrowed laptop, a portable USB drive, and a nylon pouch of tools. Mateo met her under the replica Saturn V and unlocked the planetarium's rear fire door. No alarms trip from this one, he said, but be quick, I'm walking rounds in 20. Inside the darkened dome, the toppled Mark VII rested under tarps like a shrouded colossus. Yellow floor paint marked spots where detectives had chalked evidence. Iris swallowed grief, then crossed to the control console, which sat intact. Zelinsky's reading glasses still perched beside a mug rimmed with cold espresso. She powered the console. Boot sequence flickered across monitors. With cables, she linked her laptop, initiating a handshake with the server racks behind the observation deck. Protocols asked for administrator credentials. She had overheard Zelinsky recite them weeks earlier to a trainee. His passwords were all comet names. She tried Halley 1758 and got in. The full-dome software allowed custom playlists. Instead of the licensed planetarium films Chow had purchased, Iris loaded a file she'd prepared, a narrated sky tour she recorded using free astronomy visualization software, her own voice steady if unpolished. Then she appended the photographs of the cut cable, embedding captions that explained sabotage in plain language. At the crescendo, the Orion constellation blossoming, text would overlay. This was made to fall. She saved the playlist as opening night revised and scheduled it for 10 a.m. Friday, when Chow planned to escort the press through for a safety update. With Cruz's servers linked to the lobby feeds, any playlist triggered from the console would auto-mirror to every public screen. All she needed was for someone to hit begin show, and if nobody did, she would. Mateo radioed her. "Wrap it up, Quinn. Management's coming early tomorrow." On the bus home, Iris rehearsed speeches to detectives, to the board, to Dr. Zielinski, still in hospital with a fractured pelvis. Yet doubt leaked in. What if Cruz wiped the servers Friday morning? She needed redundancy. She uploaded the playlist to a cloud drive, set a timed email addressed to every reporter on the gala list, and attached a link. Delivery scheduled for 10:05 a.m. Friday. Sleep eluded her. Friday dawned copper pale. Iris donned clean coveralls and headed to work 2 hours early. To civilian eyes, the museum appeared normal, though a crane idled near the loading dock to remove the crippled Mark 7. Inside, volunteers arranged stanchions around blank halls. In the conference room, Ms. Chow stood before a clutch of media holding steaming coffee. Devon Cruz hunched over a tablet near her elbow. Iris hovered by the doorway, pushing a vacuum, listening. "Committed to guest safety above all," Chow recited. "Today you'll tour with engineers verifying structural soundness." At 9:58 she shepherded the group toward the planetarium. Iris ghosted behind. Because the main door remained taped, Chow gestured at monitors in the lobby. "We've queued archival footage so you can appreciate the educational mission without entering the chamber," she said, nodding to Cruz. He tapped the tablet. Lobby screens flared to life. Stars wheeled across blackness. Chow smiled as if claiming credit. Iris exhaled. Narration began, her own voice echoing through ceiling speakers. "Welcome to Snapdragon's voyage through the cosmos. Look up, and the darkness becomes a map." Chow's smile faltered, recognition dawning. She whispered to Cruz, who jabbed at controls, but the content kept rolling. Iris had password-protected the playlist with a new key. The Orion Nebula bloomed, pink, swaddled in gas. Viewers murmured appreciation. Then the slideshow cut to a high-resolution photograph of the sliced steel cable. A red arrow pointed at the gleaming diagonal. Detective Sutton, present among the crowd, straightened. Iris's narration continued. "On opening day, someone cut this cable, causing the Mark 7 projector to fall upon Director Zielinski." Screens cycled to the next image. Cruz's latex-gloved hand adjusting the hoist on Tuesday, time-stamped from security footage Iris had surreptitiously pulled overnight when Mateo lent access. She'd found the clip by cross-referencing card swipes. Cruz had entered the rigging loft after midnight, the eve of reopening. Cruz froze. Chow spun to him. "You deleted the logs." I thought I did," he stammered. Sutton signaled 2 uniformed officers. Within seconds, Cruz was separated from the crowd. Chow stepped back, outrage morphing into calculation. The feed cut to Iris, recorded on her phone hours earlier, standing beneath the bruised projector. "Progress should never drop on people's heads," her image said. "The sky belongs to everyone." Live Iris felt 1,000 gazes turn toward her physical self at the back. She set down her vacuum and stepped forward. "Detective, I can show you the crawlspace evidence," she said. Sutton nodded. Chow tried to exit, but Mateo blocked the doorway. Security protocol. Officers intercepted. As Sutton took statements, reporters filmed. Chow's defense crumbled when detectives revealed her emails requesting rush quotes for a digital full-dome system sent 3 weeks prior, contingent on legacy equipment failure. By noon, Cruz had confessed, claiming Chow persuaded him, that cutting the cable would disable the projector without injuring anyone. He misjudged weight distribution. Chow was arrested for conspiracy and reckless endangerment. The board convened an emergency session. They offered Iris paid leave for her service, but she declined. "I'd rather mop," she said, "and maybe run the night sky." 2 weeks later, with the Mark 7 shipped to specialists for repair, Snapdragon reopened at half capacity. The board named Dr. Zelinsky Director Emeritus while he recovered at home. Interim Curator of Astronomy, Iris Quinn. Her first public program took place in the lobby under rented digital projectors, while the dome awaited restoration. She stood before rows of folding chairs, schoolchildren, parents, and donors, craning upward at a canvas of pixels. "Humans have always searched for stories in the darkness," she began, voice steadier than the recording that toppled corruption. Constellations unfurled overhead, a hunter, a swan, a janitor sweeping stardust. After the show, a familiar girl from the school group tugged her sleeve. "Do the stars move, or do we move?" she asked again. Iris knelt to meet her eyes. "Both," she answered. "We're dancing together." The girl grinned, then pointed. "What's that one?" Iris followed the tiny finger, tracing fresh night pinned to ceiling. For a moment she saw beyond pigments and pixels to the real sky waiting outside, waiting inside each restless head. She imagined the Mark 7 returned, galaxies gleaming. But she'd learned the expensive machine was only a tool. Wonder required a human heart turning upward. "That," she said, guiding the girl's hand across invisible compass lines, "is Lyra, the harp. If you listen, you can almost hear the music." Later, Iris stepped onto the rooftop garden with a pair of binoculars donated by Zelinsky. Cool air salted her cheeks. Below, custodians buffed floors. Above, Vega burned unconditionally. For the first time in years, Iris's badge read something other than temporary. It read Planetarium Guide. She tipped her head back, letting the darkness fill the space sabotage had tried to carve out of her. The universe was still there, resilient and luminous, and Iris Quinn was finally, unmistakably, part of it.